Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. I'm sorry for my lateness, people. Well, sorry for my lateness. I didn't mean to do you like that. Yeah. Apologize, just had, multiple things coming at me. And I also I disassembled my whole studio last night. And then I had to put it back together, and it just took a little time to get this thing going. But you're all here. We're all here. Hello. Early chatters are in. Greetings. And oh my God, another day, another bunch of bullshit from the people in charge that are mostly responsible for the ongoing destruction of the planet and responsible for keeping us all locked into a system that is responsible for the destruction of the planet. Doom guitar, yeah. We got people watching on Rockfin. Hello. Come hang out with me on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com. Ken Greenfield says, hi. All right, guys. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, Judy Truitt, apparently that crazy congresswoman actually physically attacked Cori Bush. What? Okay. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I didn't see that, so I can't really speak to it. I'm not really sure. All I can say is there's a whole lot of acting and theater going on by the people in charge. And I find it weird. So guys, I was just going to say, yes, Basil Peterson, the sickness is the system. Richard Wolf, Rich Diana was already cold before I saw the knit goods. Kevin, yes, it's chilly. It's been raining for maybe not 24 hours, but maybe 15 hours straight here. Cold and rainy, and this is good. Marjorie is an asshole. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that story, so I'm not really sure about it. So, I mean, guys, I'm doing this little experiment with another channel where I'm talking about politics, but it's so hard because everything is goddamn connected. And so, I'm going to keep doing it for a little while, but maybe I'm just going to talk about climate change and politics, and the people that don't like me talking about politics are just going to have to suck it. Like, straight up. You're just going to have to, either move on or, I don't know, do something else with your life. I don't know. Because it's just really like, I find myself talking about the same things that I always talk about on both channels. And so, which is that the entire system is just a conglomeration of people that want to fuck you and then, and destroy the planet while they're fucking you. And that's just pretty much what it is. And, I don't know how you separate the two. I can't separate the two. It's really hard for me. Climate, I can't like put myself in a box and go like, I'm just, just climate change. Just think about climate change. What kind of lunatic are you? Where do you live? You're, I don't know. Yeah, I have, I don't know. I find that intellectually limited state of mind where you're just like, I just want to hear about climate change and how bad it is. And that's it. I don't want to talk about anything else. It's just fucking strange to me. Really? A, boring as fuck. B, limited as fuck. see, you don't like to, you can't have a conversation about anything else. You don't think about anything else. You don't look at anything else. You sound pretty, I don't know. You sound pretty myopic or pretty, just siloed off in your own little world. It's just really bizarre to me. Anyways. Right. Guaumashi, really summing it up very well. At the current time, the only way to ignore politics is to voluntarily accept serfdom. Ding, ding, ding. Right. So if you're like, I don't know, politics, I don't know. You're just a sheep being led to slaughter and helping everybody else be led to slaughter at the same time. It's just, you got to wake up. If you're trying to wake up people to climate change, you've got to wake people up to the political situation that is actually behind climate change. Much of the stuff that is behind climate change is political. It's not just humans being stupid. Not all humans are stupid. Humans are subject to the media and the information. We're programmed from birth to think the way we think. And that is all by design. The system is all by design. It's created, controlled, operated by a few people, and they're, all the levers of power are in their hands, right? And you are subservient to you have to live within the system. You have to play by these rules. If you don't play by these rules, you get spanked or in jail or homeless or whatever. You get cast out. Like, I was just talking about Kim Iverson, just mentioning her video. She was put on a terror watch list for being an environmentalist. All right, so that's what you get if you're a hardcore environmentalist. You get put on a terrorist watch list, or you get deemed a terrorist organization by the London police. So, people that can sit in a bubble and just say, like, all right, let's just talk about how bad it is. Fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with your brain? Just seriously. Like, I really don't have a lot of patience for that. Anyways, I've cussed a lot, and I'm probably going to cuss a little more today. Keith Hayes, to meaningfully deal with climate change, we need a better social contract. Indeed. And to all the people that are like, it's just going to be Mad Max in 2 years, whatever. Man, shut the fuck up. Okay, we still live here. We still operate in a society. Things affect us. Things affect other people. And again, if you're that myopic and just self-centered and just want to be like, well, it's all going to be over, whatever. What the fuck is wrong with you? Ken Greenfield, don't forget, Kevin, a lot of viewers are outside of USA, so may not be interested in American politics. It doesn't matter, though, Ken Greenfield. American politics affect the entire world, and the entire world is part of the same system. The UK, Australia, the EU, all of them operate under this, huge globalist neoliberal system. They all operate the same way. They all operate on the same rules. They all do the same things. So it fucking affects you. If I'm talking about American politics, you might as well we're talking about neoliberal, capitalist imperialism that controls the whole world. What's up, Muzza? How you doing? Kiwi Bear Mod, giving the super chats. Thank you. All of it is the same. You go to the UK, it's the same. The Labour Party has been taken over by corporatists. Labour Party doesn't represent the people anymore. They just run around calling people anti-Semites. In America, the progressives, the Democrats don't represent the people anymore. They just run around calling people racist and fascists. While bending everyone over just as badly as the Republicans. And what about those Wall Street speculators? Indeed. It's a global finance, capitalist, imperialist system, and everyone is affected. Everyone. Ken Greenfield, but not the details. Sure, not the details. That's fine. Anyways, I ran it a bit. My apologies. Yes, Basil Peterson, multinational corporations have colonized the world. I've ran it a bit. And again, all of that is to say, I'm continuing to do my experiment of doing another channel where we're talking about politics, but let's get into it. Let's get into it. So yeah, it's been pretty stormy here in California. Excuse me. This is from Daniel Swain. With additional heavy rain overnight, it appears the Highway 1 debris flow washout near Big Sur went from a partial washout to a rather complete one. It's posted not too long ago. That's what Highway 1 is looking at, like near Big Sur. Greta Thunberg says, if only leaders were as good at taking real action as they were giving speeches, then we would be way out of danger by now. And she ats the World Economic Forum. Interesting. The World Economic Forum also basically representing the Davos crew, the billionaire class, the people that get together and decide what exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, who get together and decide what the future of the planet is going to look like, right? It doesn't matter whether you're in the U.S. It doesn't matter whether you're in the UK or Australia. It is all politics are literally the same politics if we're talking about capitalist first world countries. I think my dog just snotted on me. Excuse me. Ugh. That was disgusting. And the World Economic Forum, people at Davos, the billionaire class, they are going to they're figuring out a way to get this whole the green new billionaires. I'm not even going to call it the Green New Deal anymore. I'm going to rename the Green New Deal the Green New Billionaires. That's what that deal is all about. Osama, I wonder if a Tesla autopilot would plunge off that road. Good question. Good question. Hey, Ken Greenfield, thanks. I love you too. I love you too. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Jacob Gordon, kids still acting more mature than adults. Exactly. The adults in the room are lunatics. The adults in the room are absolutely insane. And willing to take the entire planet over a cliff while calling everybody else, pie in the sky or wishful thinking or how are we going to pay for it? It's not funny. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, let's get into it a little more. Very interesting article from HuffPost. Biden's Climate Day confronts a tricky question. Tricky. What should we do about mining? It's going to be, so we're going to green up the economy, guys. We are going to, really get these renewables going. We're going to build these electric cars and electric trains and eventually sometime 2060 electric planes. And we're going to, jobs. We need jobs, guys, because it does. If we're talking about the environment, we need to couch it in a way that respects and supports capitalism. Because if we don't do that, then people might get the idea that maybe we should get rid of capitalism. As the new president broke from the old on climate issues, his nominee for energy secretary revealed one potential area of continuity. On Wednesday, President Joe Biden signed a series of executive orders that paused new oil and gas leasing on federal lands, directed the government's international financing entities to phase out funding for fossil fuel projects overseas, and created a civilian climate corps. Lovely. Biden's special climate envoy, John Kerry, met the usual climate obstructionist talking points with clear, confident responses at a White House press briefing. But on the same day in the Senate confirmation hearing for Energy Secretary nominee Jennifer Granholm, a more complex side of the clean energy revolution was under discussion: mining. Granholm repeatedly said she supports ramping up U.S. mining to help meet the demand for raw materials required to make the batteries, the power electric vehicles, and store renewable electricity. We are missing a massive opportunity for our own security, but also for a market for our trading partners who may want to have access to minerals that are produced in a responsible way. Okay. Granholm, the former Michigan governor, told the Senate Committee of Energy and Natural Resources, "We know we can mine in a responsible way." Really, what does that even mean? We're going to mine responsibly. That's like, making millions of consumer goods with green, with green stamps on the packaging. Go green. That's producing responsibly. At one point, Senator John Barrasso pressed Granholm for a commitment that she would follow the law passed in December to set up a $75 million strategic uranium reserve, which would boost domestic mining of uranium. "I will certainly act upon instructions of Congress," Granholm said. But the bigger question, which the Republicans who asked about mining ignored, is how and to what extent the Department of Energy might go about encouraging the mining of materials needed for green technology. Minerals such as cobalt, nickel, lithium, and rare earths are scarcely mined in the U.S. now, and the protections for workers and communities where they're produced are weak. Elon Musk, we coup who we want. We're gonna foment a coup in Bolivia because we need that lithium, guys. So that sounds like some responsible mining to me. Totally responsible. Cobalt production, you gotta overthrow a government so that you can have access to the lithium without any resistance. And so that sounds like responsible mining to me. Cobalt production fell 52% from 2015 to 2019 as imports for consumption increased. U.S. geological data show. Production of nickel, a metal that makes up 65% of some electric car batteries, was roughly halved. Lithium, a main component in the lithium-ion batteries that now dominate the market, is virtually all imported. The majority of the world's available cobalt is sourced from the Democratic Republic of Congo under disgusting conditions where labor abuses are rampant and sparsely regulated pollution is now causing birth defects in children. In Indonesia, the world's largest producer of nickel, companies working on battery parts proposed dumping toxic waste from processing facilities into waters where the planet's most biodiverse coral reefs are located. Lithium produced in Chile sucks up vast sums of water in the country's desert regions, while China's processing of Australia's hard rock version is a major source of toxic pollution. Australia, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Yet it's China's near monopoly on rare earths production, controlling roughly 80% of a global supply chain needed for everything from car batteries to iPhones. That has animated much of the chatter on Capitol Hill. That's a problem, right? China has a near monopoly on rare earths production. That is a problem. Then President Donald Trump signed a series of executive orders to boost domestic production of minerals and rare earths, including one in October declaring the need for U.S. mined rare earth elements a national emergency. Guys, we're going to need these rare earths, and it's an emergency. He also signed agreements with Australia and Canada to cooperate on mining. In November, the Department of Defense announced a new deal to turn California's Mountain Pass mine, the only rare earth site in North America, into a flagship of the United States' new domestic industrial base. While the fact that the overwhelming majority of the mining industry's campaign contributions go to GOP candidates almost certainly played some part in making domestic mining a key Republican concern, the U.S. push to create entire clean energy supply chains within its borders is part of a global shift. Between the U.S.-China trade war that started in 2018 and the disruptions caused by the coronavirus pandemic, policymakers in North America, the European Union, and China all seem eager to boost their own mining industries. Excuse me. There's this trend globally of states and firms seeing EV, electric vehicle, and battery supply chains through the lens of dominance and security, and arguing that they need to, as much as possible, onshore everything from critical materials hold on. Where did I go? I lost my place. GOP candidates almost certainly played some part in making domestic mining a key Republican concern. The U.S. push to create entire clean energy supply chains within its borders is part of a global shift. Between the U.S.-China trade war that started in 2018 and the disruptions caused by the coronavirus pandemic, policymakers in North America, the European Union, and China all seemed eager to boost their own mining industries. There's this trend globally of states and firms seeing EV and battery supply chains through the lens of dominance and security, and arguing that they need to, as much as possible, onshore everything from critical materials to manufacturing to end-of-life recycling, said Thea Rianfrancos, a researcher on clean energy supply chains and political scientist at Providence College. The U.S. is part of this geopolitical dynamic. Yes, indeed. Granholm said as much during her confirmation hearing. We don't want to be under the thumb of China or other countries that may have it in their geopolitical strategy, a strategic interest to corner the markets for minerals, Granholm said. She added, I think these minerals can be mined in a responsible way, in a way that respects the environment. That would be news to many environmentalists and community advocates in the places where companies have sought to start new mining. In California's Panamint Valley, on the edge of Death Valley National Park, the nonprofit Center for Biological Diversity said an Australian company's exploratory drilling of lithium wells raised a tricky question of where the harms of mining hit. Weird. Australian company mining in California for lithium. That's fine. But we're supposed to be drawing down our domestic mining, I guess. We shouldn't export the sacrifices of Bolivia and Argentina. Lisa Belenke, a senior attorney at the center, told Los Angeles Times. We also think that Panamint Valley is not the right place for it. There's this trend globally of states and firms seeing EV and battery supply chains through the lens of dominance and security, and arguing that they need to, as much as possible, onshore everything from critical materials to manufacturing to end-of-life recycling. Onshore it, guys. Don't offshore it, onshore it. Moving down, this month, less than a week before Trump left office, the Bureau of Land Management approved the nation's second ever lithium mine in an ecologically sensitive stretch of Nevada highlands. I think we're going to have some special guests come on and talk about this protest. Two activists, Max Wilbert and Will Falk, are now camped at the site. You all know who Will Falk is? I interviewed Will Falk maybe a year or two ago, hoping to block bulldozers from arriving. This is not a clean transition, Wilbert wrote in an op-ed for the Sierra Nevada Alley. It's a transition from one dirty industrial energy source to another. When asked about China on Wednesday, Granholm took a less hawkish tone than other Biden cabinet picks, including Secretary of State Antony Blinken. But she compared existing U.S. policies for competing with China over clean energy supply chains to bringing a knife to a gunfight. Do you see possibilities of us working with countries like China? Senator Bernie Sanders asked at one point. I do, Granholm said, but I know our eyes must be wide open. Okay. How are you going to offshore magically account for, tell people that this new green economy is, the most awesome, cool thing ever, and we're going to be better for it. Climate change will be cured. We've got to reach net zero, so we need to ramp up these clean technologies. Andy the Gardener says, mining our way out, as in that's mine, that's mine, that's mine, indeed. Yep. Ken Greenfield says end-of-life recycling is that Soylent Green. Indeed. Last Monkey says, well, unless they burn everything down. Lance Rebo, why are we switching to renewables without accounting for the loss of aerosols and the fact we have already locked in multiple degrees of warming and activated every single tipping point? Well, my guess, Lance Rebo, is to, oh my gosh, wet dog. My guess is to squeeze every last bit of profit out of the planet on our way out. That's my guess. Anyways, yeah, big questions abound. And here's more on the Biden, the supposed green transition. As Biden issues groundbreaking climate orders, activists push to ban fracking. So were you going to ban fracking there, Joe? I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I was kind of just reading that for the headline. That's all you need to know. He hasn't banned fracking, and activists push to ban fracking. And all through his campaign, both he and Kamala were like, read my lips, we're not going to ban fracking. Hold on one second. So apparently the executive order that Biden just signed takes steps to end federal subsidy payments to fossil fuel companies in the budget of the upcoming fiscal year 2022. It also refers to the need to hold polluters accountable, but falls short of developing a mechanism or process for doing so. So it's just, we're going to hold them accountable in language only. There is no mechanism or process for holding them accountable. The historic announcement also raised some confusion and red flags, particularly with regard to the moratorium on new oil and gas leasing on federal land. Alice Madden is the executive director of Getch's Wilkinson Center for Natural Resources, Energy, and Environment at the University of Colorado Law School. She says, in spite of fossil fuel dependent states' outcry in response to the suspension of new drilling, in reality, only 25% of all oil production and 12% of gas drilling takes place on land the government controls. Most of where the industry works isn't even on federal land, she said, which leaves a massive amount of fossil fuel operations untouched by the order. For the industry to say this is going to end humanity as we know is false, and they know it's false. Oh, yeah. So, some 3-card Monty. A little bit of 3-card Monty by the Biden administration. That's it. I just wanted to touch on that article a little bit. A little bit of creative accounting. You know how they do. Poppy Davis holding them accountable like Big Pharma. Exactly. Bait and switch, indeed. The language is nice. The language is so good. We want a green transition that is, equitable for the future of all Americans. Oh, that sounds great. Andy the Gardener, net zero is just the official policy, means nothing. Human love solidarity. The laws and regulations for fracking were created in the Cheney years, 2000 plus, and it was declared exempted from environmental limits. Now, 20 years later, the pollution is hidden and not recorded. Yeah. Moving on. Last thing I wanted to wrap up, guys, with another article about, the greenwashing, the billionaire industry, the green new billionaires. This is from David Sirota, Greenwashing Wall Street's Invisible Hand. And I'm not going to read this whole thing either, but I'm just kind of touch on some of the things in this article. Hopefully, some of the salient points. BlackRock is being depicted as an environmental hero while undermining climate action and helping companies hide dark money political spending. Whoa. You mean they're saying one thing and doing another? You mean they're calling themselves green and not really, and funding things that are destructive to the environment? Really? And when I actually heard BlackRock in the discussion of, some new green policies or climate policies, and I was like, BlackRock? Why are they even close to the discussion? BlackRock is one of the financial industry's most powerful invisible hands, guiding politics and the economy through its position as a giant asset manager determining the fate of shareholder resolutions and board of director elections. A greater amount of shareholder and voting power is concentrated in a smaller and smaller set of institutions than ever before, and BlackRock and Vanguard are both the largest and have historically been the most recalcitrant on issues of racial justice, climate change, and political spending. Now facing heightened scrutiny about the role of dark money in our political system following the insurrection. Sorry. BlackRock is being pressured by institutional investors to use its voting power to mandate political spending disclosures by the companies whose shares it holds. A lot of people are upset about a whole lot of, what is going on across this political spectrum. And I think, the Democratic Party is off to a shaky start at best in this new administration. And, already we're seeing major cracks in the system, and they don't have a lot of answers around it. But I want to get down here. BlackRock, Fink, the CEO, said BlackRock was committing to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, okie dokie, and asked companies to disclose their own plans to reach net zero emissions as well. However, BlackRock spent the last year halting corporate action on climate change and retained $85 billion in investments in coal after promising to divest from the dirty fuel. So BlackRock sustained support for 99% of U.S. company proposed directors across the energy, utility, banking, and automotive sectors. BlackRock protects dark money. BlackRock in 2020 voted against 48 separate proposals designed to force corporate managers to disclose expenditures on lobbying or political spending at Fortune 500 companies, according to the Majority Action Report. The company's voting record compelled a group of state treasurers, elected fiduciaries, and trustees of public funds and retirement savings accounts to write a letter to Fink this week asking how BlackRock will reform both its own corporate practices as well as its approach to investment stewardship regarding the lack of transparency, alignment, and accountability in portfolio companies at which BlackRock votes proxies. That's about it, guys. Just another, more evidence of corporate three-card Monty and greenwashing. Judy Truitt says, "Isn't BlackRock bad?" Yeah, BlackRock is bad. BlackRock is non-good. Scott Lanham asks, does my beanie block 5G? I don't know. I don't know. It's not made with a tinfoil liner, so you need that tinfoil liner. That's key. Anyways, guys, I have run out of time. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I'm going to be on Neorealism talking about politics in a couple of minutes, about 10 minutes. So join me over there, and we'll continue the discussion about politics and the current affairs, news of the day, et cetera, until next time. Hold on. Let me say hi to my Rockfin people. We have Rockfin people: Ken Greenfield, Poppy Davis, Osama, Amber King. Climate change is also becoming a privileged topic for those not suffering from poverty. Poppy Davis says, Rockfin tried to keep me out and I won. Good on you. Yes, Amber King, they are trying to co-opt the Green New Deal big time, and they are very interconnected indeed. All right, guys, I'm going to take off, and I'll see you at Neorealism in a few minutes. Peace to all.